Hey guys, I don't exactly know how coherent this video is gonna be because I'm like super hungover. I got in at like 5 this morning, but I figured that if I don't do this video now, it probably won't get done. I've been meaning to do this for like a week now, but Pokemon Go's kind of just been taking over my life, so I've been just ranting on Tumblr and not actually getting anything done. So, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, Katie Cassidy being made regular across the Flaraverse, and Arrow's rendition of Artemis. Now, I have mixed feelings on the Katie Cassidy thing, and I'm against the Artemis thing because I think both Katie, I mean, is it a promotion? We'll just use promotion. Both Katie's promotion and Artemis's inclusion are very obviously like clickbait. Like they're trying to draw in people, and obviously a show is supposed to want to draw in an audience, but it seems to me that these things were done purely to get an audience. Like they're not really necessary. Like Artemis is pointless. And I love Artemis, but the problem I have with Artemis is that she's not Artemis. Arrow has a very bad habit of giving characters the hero identities of other characters as if these characters are interchangeable, and then you end up with very sloppily developed renditions of these characters because they're not how they should be done. In the comic books, Evelyn has her own superhero identity, and there's literally no reason why Arrow couldn't do that for her. Why not let her be Starling? She's a pre-existing character with her own superhero identity, her own story, and no other character in the verse is currently Starling anyway. So there's no reason why they couldn't give Evelyn the hero mantle that she had herself. Like, the only reason they would make her Artemis is because Artemis has a larger fan base and they need an audience. Like, that's the only reason. Which is stupid because then that means they're going to either pick and choose parts of both characters that they want to incorporate, which means neither character is going to be done well. Because if you try and... characters aren't interchangeable that way. And the problem with the Artemis thing is that a lot of people have defended the Evelyn being Artemis thing because comic book Artemis is white, meaning that having a Latina actress play Artemis in Arrow would be a representative thing. Which, okay, except Artemis from the comic books isn't the Artemis that they're basing it on, because Artemis from the comic books has, like, she doesn't really have a fan base. I mean, she does, but not any more or less than like Starling would, because Starling and Artemis in the comic books, they're characters that if you're a comic book fan, you know them. But for a casual watcher or someone who's only interested in extended universes, they're not household names, they're not commonly known, they're not really adapted. Artemis from the Young Justice animated series is the Artemis that they're more likely to base it on because she is the one that does have a legitimate, thriving fan base. But the difference with that is that Artemis in the Young Justice animated series was altered significantly from her comic book rendition in order to better incorporate her into the story. You know, a lot of changes were made to the point where she bears little to no resemblance to her comic book counterpart. So Young Justice takes a comic character, fleshes her out, changes her, adapts her for their fiction, and it works in their favour. She garners a large fan base. Fair enough, no problem. Shows do that all the time. But then for Arrow to take a character from another show that's already been changed, it's like so removed. It's like, okay, they've already changed this comic book character and we'll just take their version that they changed and then we'll change it again. So it's a bit like the Artemis that Arrow has is going to be nothing like the comic book rendition at all, and it's going to be an altered, stripped down version of the Young Justice version, Which leads me back to my original point. If they're going to alter Artemis that significantly, then why not let Evelyn be Starling? Because Starling is a character that hasn't been adapted and hasn't been altered, meaning that anything that Arrow does with her will be original to them, and it will be, you'll allow Evelyn to have her own story and her own mantle like she did in the comic books, but you'll be tweaking one character instead of trying to blend two characters and having one of them or like coming from somebody else's rendition. Like, it's so convoluted. Just why not have Evelyn be Starling? I mean, she was in the comic books, and the superhero name wouldn't really make a difference at this point because they're going to alter her anyway. Like, literally, her being Artemis or her being Starling wouldn't make a difference to her character. So my point is, the only reason they're making her Artemis is because they want to draw in Artemis fans, because they're trying to get an audience. And why would they do that unless they felt that they needed to? Because a lot of people who like the show are probably excited about new characters coming in anyway. They don't care who those characters are. Like, Evelyn obviously made her debut in the series. People who watch the show are familiar with her, and knowing that she's going to be a regular, people are curious about what her story is going to be. So it wouldn't matter what mantle they gave her, those people would still be curious, which means that them making her Artemis means that they want to bring in new people. They feel like they need to appeal to a new audience. And I think they're banking on Young Justice Artemis's fan base in order to ensure their viewership, which is bad because the Young Justice fandom is alive and thriving and working hard to get a new season of the show, because it was revealed that the funding for Young Justice was dependent on the merchandise sales, and the toys weren't selling very well because they were marketing their toys and their merchandise to young boys, but there was actually a large portion of the fan base that were teenage girls who weren't purchasing the toys. So when the merchandise sales weren't significant enough, the funding stopped and the show got cancelled. So the fandom is petitioning to try and get a Netflix pickup. The cast have been, the voice cast have been very vocal about their support of this. The Young Justice fandom is alive and thriving and desperate for a renewal. So bringing in Artemis is just preying on a desperate fan base to ensure your viewership. So I think that it's a calculated move on Arrow's part to get viewers. I don't think that they really have any care for the character that they're using. I think that it is just for an audience. Otherwise, they would have just used Starling because that's who Evelyn actually is. Going on to the Black Canary thing, I think that Arrow weren't expecting the backlash to be as bad as it was. And I don't think it's just the backlash. I think that Flash actually made it worse. Because from what I've seen, the reaction to Black Siren on The Flash was very, very positive. People who hated Laurel in Arrow liked her as Black Siren. And considering that at the time Black Siren was intended to be a one-episode villain, The Flash handled her very, very well. And I think a lot of people kind of realized, well, maybe Katie's not the problem. She handled herself very, very well in The Flash. Like, she was just a one-episode bad guy, and, she was given more respect. She was given, she was kind of badass in The Flash, and they handled her better in one episode than Arrow did in, 4 seasons. And I think people kind of realized, they were like, whoa, this is actually pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Like, if Black Siren is a regular, I'm into that. And I think people realized, well, maybe it's not Black Canary or Laurel that was the problem, it was the material. So I think having Katie go on to The Flash made the backlash worse, because there was a clear division between people's reaction to Laurel on Arrow and people's reaction to her on The Flash. I mean, if you even the minute details, like if you look at Black Siren's costume, you know, she's got the netted sleeves and the leather, which is a lot more reminiscent of Black Canary's comic book outfit. You know, it's tweaked and it's modernized and it's made kind of darker, and obviously it covers more because I saw an interview where Katie was saying that it gets freezing when they're filming, so she wanted something that would keep her more or less covered because they're filming in the middle of the night. Um, but even though it had all of those, um, you know, restrictions, and it obviously it wasn't. The costumes are never going to be exactly like the comic books. Like I think that, like Roy's Arsenal jacket was like way cooler than anything that he wore in the comic books. But I did like the little details, the subtleness that was like kind of reminiscent of the comics. So yeah, the leather and the netted sleeves. It was very Black Canary, like the little choker. Um, so even those little details, I mean, the Sonic scream was badass, and that's how it should have been done. Like, she's a meta-human in the comic books. She has a Sonic scream. If you're gonna do it right, or don't do it at all. Like, the scream in Arrow looked kind of stupid. Like, they literally didn't even fork out for any special effects on the Sonic scream at all. It was just Katie screaming, and it didn't have the impact that it should have had. Like, they didn't ever care about making Black Canary look badass, and she is a badass. Like, how do you expect people to love a character if you don't love a character? Like, Arrow never really put forth enough effort to make sure that each and every one of their characters resonated in the way that they should have. There's a clear divide and maybe like a bit of a preference towards certain characters that meant a lot of other characters fell to the wayside, and then the Arrow creators were like, well, these characters aren't very successful, we'll just get rid of them. And it's like, well, no, they probably would be successful if you did something with them. Like, even Malcolm to this point, he was really badass at the start of the show. Like, the Dark Archer was awesome. I thought that he was a very good rival for Oliver. They were kind of toe to toe a lot. And over the last season, he comes in out of nowhere, says some really cryptic bullshit, and then fucks off again. Like, he hasn't done anything, and it's been that way for like over a season. He's like a puppet master that just shows up and then leaves and doesn't actually do anything. It's like, and he was so cool in the first season. Like, I think that there needs to be some, like, a rehash of some priorities over there. Um, and I don't think that, I think that Arrow is really kind of backed themselves into a corner at this point because obviously the network has promoted Katie. She's a regular on all the shows. And I've heard that she's only going to be in flashbacks on Arrow, which kind of annoys me, to be honest, because what's the point? Like, what is the point in giving us flashbacks of a character that you've just killed? Because it won't develop her. Like, the past will never influence her future, which means the only reason she would be there is for them to flesh out Oliver. And, like, I know that Oliver is the main character, but the flashbacks over the last 2 seasons of Arrow have been not, like, they've been so irrelevant, like, entirely irrelevant. Like, what even were the flashbacks the last 2 seasons? So having Laurel come back just for flashbacks when Arrow has proven that they don't know where they're going with flashbacks anymore, just seems like they're putting her there for the sake of putting her there because people complained that she was gone. And personally, as a Black Canary fan, you've disrespected her enough. Like, let her be. Like, let her go. I would rather them just keep her dead than bring her in and just use her as a plot device whenever they deem it necessary and do it badly. Because all of the flashbacks are just going to be either Laurel and Oliver's relationship pre-Island, or they're going to be random conversations that they had throughout the series that we didn't see, like random behind the scenes shots. And it's like, really? Is it? What I'm saying is, I highly, highly doubt that any flashback they put Laurel in would really make a huge bit of difference to the plot. She would just be there because they feel like they need to put her there because of the backlash that they received. And I feel the same way about that as I do with the Artemis thing. I think that it's a calculated move in order to try and draw people back to watching the show because the ratings took a nosedive. And I feel like that is fan service. Like, it is. As much as I love Black Canary, I'm not delusional. Like, I know that it's fan service. I know that they're doing it to try and bring people back to the show because they lost so many viewers. But that's not something I'm interested in seeing. I'm not interested in seeing them use a character that I love just to get me to watch their show. If they don't love her, then how is the audience supposed to love her? If they're not interested in giving her a story and giving her a development and giving her depth, then I'm not interested in watching it, because the only reason she would be there is for like 5 seconds of screen time just so they can say that she was there and they hope it'll boost their ratings. And I'm not for it, to be honest. What's the point? I'm gonna watch her on The Flash. I hope that she's a regular villain. She kicked ass as Black Siren. I hope that they reform her, and I hope she becomes like an anti-hero, because I love those characters. I love characters that walk the line between good and bad. I love moral ambiguity. I'm hoping that they do that with her. I think that The Flash is the best place for her because, like I said, they handled her better in one episode than Arrow ever did. Multiple members of the Supergirl cast have actually named Katie as someone they'd love to work with, like multiple times. Melissa in particular has mentioned Black Canary every single time she's asked about what she wants from the crossover now that Supergirl is on the network. Every single time she said Black Canary. So I think that would be awesome to have a Supergirl and Black Canary team up. The Supergirl cast seems very, very enthusiastic about Black Canary, which makes me think, like, they don't say, like, they have mentioned Katie by name, but there have been multiple instances where they've said Black Canary specifically, which makes me think, are they going to bring her back? Like, or is it going to be a time travel thing? I mean, Supergirl was in a different universe, wasn't it? Like, Barry was the only one that could go over. So maybe there is a Black Canary in the Supergirl universe that we don't know yet. Maybe she'll cross over. The Flash has really, really opened up this other Earth, a scenario that does give them a lot of leeway to do anything. So there are multiple ways that Black Canary could appear in Supergirl. Like, maybe it'll be as Black Siren, maybe Supergirl will cross over with the Flash again, maybe Flashpoint will change everything so that now Supergirl exists in the same universe so that they're all Earth 1. Maybe Supergirl will remain in a separate Earth and she'll have her own Black Canary. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm excited about it. I'm gonna just watch The Flash and watch Supergirl, and I'm not interested in Arrow anymore. Like, I'm fucking, what's the point? I don't care. Like, I was out, I went out last night and I bumped into a guy I went to college with. We used to be really close in college, and I haven't seen him in years, and I was literally just saying to him, like, he followed me on Tumblr and I followed him back, and I was like, I'm warning you, all I do is fucking bitch about comic books, like, all I do. And over the last week, all I've done is bitch about Arrow. And then he just kind of laughed and he was like, Arrow is so shit. And I was just like... And my mum doesn't like comic books. Like, she won't watch superhero stuff with me. It's not her thing. She tells me that she's not interested in my Batman shit. And before we went out last night, like, me and my friend were talking to my mum, and my mum had watched Arrow. She borrowed my box sets from seasons 1 through 3 because our Netflix was down one week, and so she was needing something to watch. And she said that season 1 was really good. Like, my mum was into it. She's not into comic books, but she was into Arrow. She liked it. She really loved Moira. And then, literally, my mum struggled through season 3, and my mum actually said to me, Felicity is really irritating me. And when Moira died, my mum was genuinely impacted by that scene. Like, she was really moved by it. She really loved Moira. She was really, really into it. And then, like, a season later, my mum's like, struggling through season 3, like desperate for our Netflix to just come back. And so it's not just comic book fans who are complaining about this. It's something that everyone has noticed, a quality decline. So yeah. I don't know. I'm not interested in Arrow. I don't care. Like I bitch about it a lot because I'm a bitter person, and I will never stop hoping that I will eventually get a live action adaptation that is respectful of the characters I love. I'm a huge Arrow fan. Like I read a shit ton of Arrow fan comic books. Roy Harper is my fave. Like I was running a Roy Harper roleplay blog for a full year before I even watched Arrow, and I'm like genuinely disappointed. Like I feel like I've been let down as a fan. Like I've dedicated a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy to supporting, not only DC and Arrow, but these characters. Like I gave them the benefit of the doubt through so much because I believed that it would all make sense and they'd tie up the loose ends, but they never did, and I'm just done with it, to be honest. Like I'll probably still bitch about it when the mood strikes or whenever I see something else shit that they've done, but I'm not interested in watching it anymore. I mean, even even stuff like the fact Curtis Holt is supposed to be an Olympic athlete. You're telling me that he needs Oliver to walk him through the salmon ladder? What? Like, I'm obviously I get Curtis being rusty or out of practice, but he is an Olympic athlete, and in the trailer that they showed, they made him seem like he'd never been in a gym before. Like they made him look stupid compared to Oliver. And I get that he won't have Oliver's skill level, he won't have Oliver's training, he's rusty, he's out of practice, but don't make him look stupid. Don't make Curtis look like he has no experience. He's a fucking Olympic athlete. Like, what is the point? I haven't even seen, like, season 5 hasn't even fucking started, and the trailer is pissing me off because they're making Curtis look inferior next to Oliver. I mean, he spent all of last season playing second fiddle to Felicity. I mean, he made a microchip to cure paralysis, and all he got was Oliver making a Mr. Terrific pun. And then Felicity said she was gonna manufacture it to turn herself into a beacon of hope, and then it never went anywhere. So Curtis never got recognition or any credit for the work that he'd done when it was his invention. Like, they forget about Curtis all the time. They treat him like he does these amazing things, and it's like swept under the carpet because there's other more important stuff happening, like Oliver and Felicity's next breakup. And then in season 5, when it hasn't even started yet, they're treating him like he doesn't know what he's doing in a gym. He's a fucking Olympic athlete. Oh my god. Like, honestly, I'm so done with every single character being inferior to Oliver and Felicity all the time, as if no one else is allowed to do things better. Like, there are always going to be people who are better at certain things than you. That is life. And if you're in a team with someone and you all have different expertise, then the team becomes stronger. If you have weak links, or if you have people who can't do anything better than anyone else can, what's the point in even having them there? Like, allow Curtis to have his time to shine. Allow him to be credited and validated for his skills, because otherwise he's just another person that's there. Like, I don't know. Like, Diggle, he is proficient in firearms, because of his military experience, he's better with strategies, he's, and that is his thing. He's the strategist, he's the marksman. And Oliver obviously has the stealth and the archery. Felicity has the IT stuff. And then, Laurel, as a lawyer, she was really good at reading people and navigating people. She was good at interrogation. They all had strong points that made them good for a crime-fighting team. So, Arrow recently has been treating some characters like they need to have their hand held by Oliver or Felicity in order to get somewhere. And that's not really how a team works. So yeah, it kind of annoyed me a little bit, and I'm just done. Yeah, I'm gonna just watch The Flash and Supergirl. And yeah, I mean, maybe I'm saying this all prematurely, and maybe it'll all wrap up and make sense, but unless I see from other people who've had similar complaints to mine, I'm not gonna go back and waste any more time or energy or money on it. So yeah.